A team that's very young is the OKC Thunder, and they just lost their second overall pick for the season in Chet Holmgren. He injured his foot in the Pro-Am crossover game when LeBron drove on him. Unfortunate injury. Lisfranc injury to his right foot, ruptured tendon in his foot, but it's not a fracture. The Thunder are optimistic about his long-term recovery, but they are going to be very conservative about his recovery. And Holmgren has already resumed weight training and shooting training without putting too much pressure on his foot. But this is a huge loss for the OKC Thunder, who, SGA is a very good player. Josh Giddey's second year. Lou Dort is a very good 3-and-D player. He can also create. With Chet there was some hype around them maybe making a play-in push. I highly doubt it, but there was some hype there about it. I was looking at this, and the Thunder actually have an insurance reimbursement of 80% of Holmgren's per-game salary, which means that they're going to be reimbursed about $4 million.
That's fucked
up. Does Chet not get that money?
I think Chet gets it. It's just insurance, so they'll get the money too.
That is fucked up.
Thank God.
It's going to be after he misses 41 games this season. I don't think this is the end-all, be-all. A lot of players have redshirted. Ben Simmons, Embiid, Noel, Blake Griffin,
ideal,
Michael Porter Jr.
Zion
you can come back.
Play a bunch
Zion,
of games.
too.
You said Blake Griffin?
But do you think that this is... Yeah, I did. Do you think that this is concerning for Chet, that he's already suffered a season-ending injury in his foot?
A guy with that size, that frame, it's always going to be concerning anytime he gets a below-the-leg injury. Always. So it's always going to pop up. But if you watch the play... He came down wrong. So it's like, that's a freak accident. It happens to everybody. It happens to Kyrie before. It's happened to D Rose. It happens. You fall down wrong. And it just, I'm not going to make too much of a big deal about it. The size and the frame, of course, you're going to make it a big deal. But I think it's cool. Like, this is his first year, first go-around. He misses the year. It's fine. Like you said, it's happened to a bunch of players. It may not be the same situation, but they've all missed time at the beginning of their career to get their body right. And with a guy that size, with that type of frame, take the precaution. Okay, he's hurt. Sit out for the season. Maybe even take some time next season for him to get fully right. This is a young, exciting team. I know we wanted to see SGA, Giddey, Chet together, Trey Mann, Lugan Dortz. We wanted to see these guys together. It's tough, but it's fine. Now you get another year. Got young players. Maybe you tank again. Maybe you go get another high-level player. So it's
Victor.
I just feel getting Victor and Chet just don't
Scoot
make
Henderson.
sense.
I mean, why is that
If
nuts?
you get number one,
Too
you
many
get Victor and
guards.
figure it out.
Bro, why is that nuts?
You get number one.
Doesn't make sense.
Get Poku the hell out of there. You get Holmgren and you get Wembanyama.
I don't think
That's
Victor's
still
a better.
crib.
I'm going to be honest.
Prospect
If I have one, I'm taking Scoot. So,
over Wembanyama.
yes.
Okay.
I'm taking Scoot.
Wow, that's
I'm not hip on
interesting.
Scoot yet, but
No, I am taking fucking Scoot.
Over
do you think Victor's a
Wembanyama.
better prospect than Chet?
Yes.
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah.
When it comes down
But
to
you
it.
just
I'm
picked
shocked
You
to
just
hear
picked
this.
Victor.
You just picked Chet.
No,
I know
what I mean by
what you're
you
saying.
just
Yeah, he took a
virtually
clone
picked
of
the
him.
same
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, just a lesser degree. So it's like, but yeah, I would take Scoot.
That's super interesting.
Is it?
I feel like you're in the
Heavy?
minority for sure.
I am.
You're in the minority.
I am not in the minority. I'm in the 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like almost everything is maybe not 100-0,
Scoot-
but it's.
Scoot is a dog.
Scoot is an elite level prospect.
I don't.
He's 17 years old.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying the consensus out there is Victor is the number one prospect.
Fuck the
I'm not
consensus.
saying if you're right or wrong.
if
I'm
we're
just
talking
saying,
like, because you got to think, Victor
Scoot
has
in the
injury
G League
problems.
was doing his thing.
Victor already has injury problems, so it's already like Scoot is sitting right there. He 17 years old. He's already got the NBA body.
He's Russell Westbrook.
I think coming out, he's better.
Okay, I mean, we're talking about top 75. Russell
No, I
Westbrook.
mean just coming out of
as college player.
Like, I think
Yeah.
Scoot, when I watch Scoot Henderson,
That's college.
I look at a player that very much resembles Russell Westbrook prime. Like, that's how good this guy is.
Is he a better prospect than Ja?
Yeah.
Victor
Coming out,
Wembanyama is
yeah.
basically Dirk Nowitzki.
Ja wasn't good
Like,
until like 19. Scoot 17
That's fair.
And in the G League, he was averaging like 15 a game on good
against
efficiency.
grown men. He's not a grown man. He cannot do anything.
But
Yeah,
he definitely
Victor's playing
to,
grown
do what
man.
he, to do what he did at
Can't
17
drive.
is amazing.
Huh?
He can't drive yet.
Victor?
No, Scoot.
Oh no!
Yes, he
Oh,
can. Yes,
drive,
he can.
drive.
He can
Yeah.
Like drive a
He
car.
can
Scoot.
drive. You're being funny.
No, I'm telling you. I'm basically
17
telling you how young the boy is.
I think what's disappointing about this is that the Thunder are probably going to get another top pick, and I think they just have so many young players that it's hard to play these guys. Like, you have SGA, you have Giddey, Dort,
Yeah.
Chet, hypothetically, I know he's out for the season, but, I'm talking about next season when they potentially draft another top prospect. A guy like Jalen Williams, they drafted Ousmane Dieng. They have a lot of young players. Trey Mann.
Somebody's got to pop.
It's hard
This
to
isn't-
develop all of these guys at once.
I don't know.
Like, I feel like at this point, OKC just has too much young talent.
But I think it's a bad
That's
thing.
not a bad thing.
I think it
becomes a bad thing when
player.
you keep doing it.
In what sense?
Because I think young players now are having to fight for opportunities to play when that's normally the case when you're on a team that has veterans and that's competing and you're learning from vets. Now you have OKC who they have the 11th guy on the bench is 19 years old and has potential and can pop, and he's not learning from guys that are veterans in the league. He's learning from guys his age. They're competing constantly. It makes for a bad dynamic.
The only thing I'll say is OKC's in a position where they've been bad. They have very great draft capital. If they're in a position where, yes, Ousmane Dieng was what, the 11th pick overall, if I'm remembering correct? You have, obviously, Josh Giddey, who was a top 7 pick. You're obviously favoring the guy that you take earlier in the draft. I understand your point. It's definitely valid, but OKC is in a position where if I'm using a high leverage draft pick, I'm gonna start this guy. I'm gonna make sure that this is my priority of development here because I understand that this isn't a regular prospect.
When are they gonna start winning?
It could start in 2 seasons, depending on what happens. I don't think this year.
SGA
no way.
would be like 25, 26.
And SGA, we see what he is. We know the type of player SGA is. He is an extremely great basketball player. A top 30 basketball player.
OKC has 15 players, 23 or younger.
I'm older than
That's
their
crazy.
older players.
15?
15.
The whole roster.
And they're
Literally,
the players that are older, SGA at 24.
It's like
Kenrich Williams at 27.
Kenrich just got a little bit of a bag.
Yeah, they paid him.
The starting 5 for them, right? Let's just get into the 5 for them.
SGA,
It's
Giddey,
SGA, Giddey,
Dortz.
Lugans, Dortz, Poku. We'll see what's going to
Poku's
happen
not
next
starting.
season. Exactly, which is why I'm not against Wembanyama. Poku can come off the bench and give you valuable minutes. And then you have Chet Holmgren. Like that.
Not right now.
I'm
He's
just
out
saying
for
that's
the year.
hypothetical. I'm just living in a hypothetical right now.
Baisley.
Next-
Is Baisley still there? Baisley
Yeah,
is
he
still
is
there.
there.
So Baisley will probably start. Baisley's a good defender.
He is
I like
solid.
Baisley. He'll probably start.
It's basically the same starting lineup from last
I feel like
year.
Poku's. What are you waiting on Poku
No,
for?
I mean I agree. I think you
Do
can
the Thunder
definitely
have
move
too
off
many young, good players and not enough
Star
great players?
Yeah, like
I
that-
think
Do they
that-
not? Is SGA? Can he be the best player on a championship team? Can Chet be the
Well,
best player
I
on a
think it's
championship
too early
team?
to tell, but
I
even then, I don't know
do.
if that's the ceiling.
I know, but it's. I
think-
understand having too
think
many
what's
young
worse-
players, but I think they need to find if they think SGA, yes,
I
he's
think-
young,
I
but
think-
he could get
I
there. They
think
need to
before
find
they
that
think
second,
about the
third guy.
championship, they got to see if they can be the best players on the
Playoffs.
playoff team
Yeah.
first. Like they got to figure that out.
Well, I
I
think
think what
SGA
hurts
is-
what
SGA would be the
hurts
best player on
about
a playoff
OKC is
team.
that their young players are players that have not really shown for an entire season they can be good. They have a couple games where they pop. Trey Mann had a couple games where, wow, he looks really legit. But he didn't do that for the entire season. So now you give these players limited time to really show something. They're not able to be consistent. I think it's hard for OKC because they have players that have shown flashes but have not shown consistency. Which
That's
happens
when you're young.
It
Yeah.
happens when you're young, but that's why it's hard for them to really pick who to really build around because they don't know who they can really count on.
The reason why this Chet Holmgren injury hurts a lot is because this would have been the perfect season for OKC to see what they actually have with this starting 5. Is Chet Holmgren dominant enough to put us in a position where we're going to be aggressive in free agency now? We're going to try and get guys that are going to fill out this roster that can fit around SGA, that can fit around Giddey, that can fit around a Chet Holmgren. This would have been that season for them, for him to show them something that sparks a trust within this team that allows the front office to decide, yes, we're going to start to be aggressive in our moves. That's why this injury hurts this season. But for next season, I agree with what you're saying, Riv. He is still 20 years old. It's no need to rush. We've seen it throughout history that if a star prospect gets hurt in year 1, he comes back in year 2. He usually still plays well if he is like that, absolutely. I just think that for this year, yes, you would have loved to see what the team was about, but I'm, in the long run, still not worried. SGA is, I don't want to throw the words, he's a star. I think SGA is a star. I think Josh Giddey has all-star potential. I think Chet Holmgren has an all-star upside to himself, a star upside to Chet Holmgren. There's things to be positive with OKC right now. Holmgren getting hurt absolutely is a massive blow to that. But I still have faith in them. Like, if SGA was regular, like maybe I'd be having a different conversation. But SGA is amazing at basketball.
I was reading this.
That was a great monologue. By the way.
I was reading this Sports Illustrated article earlier that I think is interesting. It was about Chet Holmgren and where he trains. It's called P3, and the guy who owns it is called Dr. Marcus Elliott. And basically, it's a gym, and they like do a bunch of studies on certain players and their movements to, basically come to a conclusion on how good they're going to be as a pro and what their longevity/injury risk is like. So they have tested 8 first-round picks. They've tested guys like Anthony Edwards, Trae Young, CJ McCollum. And what Marcus Elliott looks for is guys that are kinetic movers based on these tests. Kinetic movers basically means that, like jab steps, sideways leaps, and the spins they do, basically moves. They don't have asymmetries or imbalances in those movements, meaning they're less likely to get hurt. And they present, fewer risk for injury. And according to P3, the results suggest that Chet Holmgren is not only going to have NBA success, but it's going to have career longevity. And his 7'1" frame with how well he moves is rare. They connected 22 sensors around his body, and one measure basically came to the conclusion that a typical NBA post player averages between 24 and 25 inches for a standing vertical jump. Holmgren, without any P3 training, leaped to 27, which already ranks among the top 10% of NBA high jumpers. And on a laptop screen, there's Holmgren in a bionic form with circles placed on his digital body. Red ones indicate injury flags, and he had none. And he had a clean profile.
Something to be optimistic about.
Which predicts that he's not somebody that you should be worried about, at least for injury.
It was a freak injury. It was contact, but it was non-contact. You know what I mean? Like LeBron obviously drove into him, but the way he fell, he didn't even fall. He just like jumped up and down almost. Like he went up to contest and
Frank.
Yes,
it's usually a freak injury.
But ETN did it in training camp last year. I think it was non-contact.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
There's just optimism if you're an OKC Thunder fan. I know where you're coming from. Like you want to start to speed up the process with these young guys for sure. But you got to trust the foundation.
I just think, for example, if Chet was healthy this year, I think they would have gotten maybe the 8th to 11th overall pick. I think with him not healthy, they're probably going to get a top 5 pick. And with that top 5 pick, you're going to get a top prospect. And now to have so many top prospects on your team with other guys that are developmental prospects like Ousmane Dieng and Poku, Trey Mann I think Trey Mann's going to be really good. It's just, I don't know. I think there's just too much young players, and there's not enough opportunity for these guys.
Is Trey Mann a starter for OKC?
No, but I think you can develop into one. But he'll never do it in OKC.
But I feel like OKC is trying to build a roster that can last in the league for years to come.
They're just trying to draft players and see who becomes a star. That's what they're trying to do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Giddey was a great step in the right direction. I think Lugan Dortz can be a very solid role player.
But I think what gets lost in all that is that there are players that get drafted and they don't have the star potential, but they develop into that. Like Pascal Siakam was drafted into a good situation and developed into that because he had guys to learn from and he was in a good environment. Yeah. OKC, you don't know if their coach is good. I don't know if he's a good coach. Their culture with no vets, is that a good environment to learn from?
I agree.
It's not. You're basically putting together a bunch of young 22 or younger guys together. They're millionaires. What do you expect is going to happen? Like, they're going to do young stuff. They're not going to be mentored the right way. So I think it helps that definitely they're in OKC and there's not a lot to do in OKC. Mm-hmm. But definitely when you're on the road, there's stuff to do.
You got a girlfriend.
I think
6 years.
I think OKC's direction is just, I believe in it because there's some good players on the roster, but it's definitely not. This is a unique approach. No other team has made this approach to things.
I've never seen so many draft.
Like, for example, the Sixers tanked blatantly, but once they got those top guys, they stopped tanking.
Well, the Thunder got so many draft picks that
like
the Sixers weren't even in the same
guy.
So this is what I'll say. So I'm going to use 2 arguments, one to contradict myself, but one to bolster it. To contradict really quick, Orlando did it, right? They're one of the few teams that just been bad, got a bunch of draft picks, hasn't worked out for them. Too much young development so far, and at this point in time, we're optimistic for Orlando Magic for this upcoming season, but we'll see. Absolutely. Shout out to you guys. Happy birthday, Jonathan. Facts. Happy birthday to you, bro.
Shout out to Jonathan Osborne.
Absolutely. And we're a little bit more optimistic, not overly optimistic on the Magic.
But what's that magic point though? Because Wendell Carter is a veteran. He's kind of a veteran at this point.
At this point, but even still,
Terrence Ross is still there.
SGA's
I
a
wouldn't
vet.
call him a vet.
Would you call it vet?
So
Wendell? I wouldn't call him a
is
vet.
SGA a vet?
I would consider him at this point right
So
now a vet.
okay,
so
so-
that team for sure.
So SGA is the vet.
Jonathan Isaac,
the best player is the vet.
Jonathan Isaac is a vet.
Terrence Ross is the vet.
Gary Harris is a vet.
So my point being, so if you're gonna
Markelle Fultz has been in the league for a while.
Okay.
Is he not?
So-
is he?
okay,
But
here's the
Wendell's
difference.
only like 23.
SGA is their best player by far. You're allowing me now to give SGA the vet title. That bodes extremely well if I'm OKC. My best player is a veteran in this league, quote unquote.
He's the leader.
Absolutely the leader of this team. I have my franchise guy in SGA. I need to put pieces around him to fill it out.